Welcome to episode 656 of Salsidoparanormal. I'm your host, James Salsido, and tonight I am continuing my review of Orpheus, Mythos of the World by Padraic. As always, you can find all episodes of the show along with links to social media and other ways to contact me at the podcast page, and that is salsidoparanormal.podbean.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.podbean.com. Always happy to hear from you all, whether you have comments or questions or topic suggestions or accounts of paranormal experiences, whether they're your own or from others that you trust. Happy to either read those or have you join me on the show to talk about them. Thank you all for listening, whether you are here for the live streams on Discord or if you listen to the podcast or YouTube feeds or on the Troubled Minds Radio Network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting. There you can hear replays of 2 episodes of my show every night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, right before Troubled Minds Radio comes on. And as always, I want to thank Michael Strange, host of Troubled Minds Radio, for having me on the network and putting my shows up there. If you'd like to support my show, there are different ways to do that. You can always share it with others and rate and review it on your favorite podcast platforms. You can find books I've written over on Amazon, paranormal fiction and nonfiction, including my most recent book, which is my first book connected to the podcast, Salsido Paranormal Experiences. You can also sign up to the Patreon page and get one extra episode every week, whenever possible, of true paranormal stories from the web. It used to every month a while ago. Or you can just make one-time donations through PayPal. Support is never expected, but always appreciated, as there are expenses in making these shows, and I do live on a fixed income due to my disability. And of course, these expenses are equipment, research materials, and travel expenses in some cases. So I think that takes care of everything there. And with that, we can get to the review part of this show here. And we're almost done, I think. Maybe another few of these episodes of this review of this book in particular. Maybe 2 or 3, I'm not sure exactly. And I've decided after that I'm going to go back to some Stephen King. I'm going to try to finish reviewing all the Stephen King books that I've read and get that out of the way, because I have read a lot of them, not anywhere near all of them, but it'll be good to have something that is a little bit easier to review in a lot of ways. So that's the plan for that, and I can get to the file here, and we can get back to the mythology. And I will eventually get back to more mythology books as well, once I find books that are public domain that are on mythology that I can get. I will get those, and we will review them. So anyway, we're on I believe we're still in South America, either Middle or South America. This is, and of course, this is all summaries generated by AI based on the original material from the book. And so what I do is again, with public domain books only, I take the material from the website that has the book and put it into the AI, and then it makes a summary for me, and I read those summaries here on the shows, and we talk about possibly the paranormal aspects of these summaries. So that is how this has been going with this particular book so far. So we are on the twin heroes and the lords of Zybalba. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Again, I didn't think to get pronunciations when I did all this originally, so for future mythology reviews, I'll get those ahead of time, and maybe I won't stumble through those so badly when I get to these names from other languages that are amazing, but they're not languages I know or speak. So this took place in Zybalba, land of the dead, ruled by lords of the dead. So basically an underworld kind of thing. There's in this realm there is a forbidden tree, large dark leaves that has large dark leaves, heavy gourd-like fruits. And there is a princess. Well, I'll just go with X because I'm not even sure you would say this name. XQUIQ. Desires the forbidden fruit. Approaches the tree. And so this is the story here. So the tree has a man's head among the fruit. And a voice warns X, the princess, the fruit are skulls and death's heads. So the head on the tree in the tree spits into the princess's hand. Keep in mind, this is an underworld. This is sort of a spirit world, kind of a different place than just regular space and time, and tells her it's his posterity and to flee to the upper world. So again, going to this idea of an underworld. Let me see here. So that was the first section of this, and the next section is the backstory of the two brothers. So Hanan Apu and Vakab Hanapu, I'm probably not saying those right. I'm sorry. They're adept ball players, and if I'm not mistaken, this is maybe connected to the different versions of that kind of a game involving some kind of a ball that have been played. These places have been found in that part of the world. These courts where these games are played. The lords of Zabalba send owlmen to challenge them. There's a steep descent, crossing rivers, and 4 colored roads. And they're misled by wooden figures on thrones, and ashamed by the Lord's scorn. So basically, for being led astray. The game begins, and the brothers are deceived into sitting on heated stones. So they spend the night in the house of gloom and failed to keep the torches unblackened, or from going dark, I guess. And they were sacrificed by the lords of this underworld, and their heads were placed on this forbidden tree. The head of Hanan Apu still alive, so apparently the other dead, which is symbolic in itself in a way. You have one that is alive, and then one that has passed, apparently. So, let's see here. Moving on to the rest of this here. The princess's pregnancy and escape. So the princess has an encounter with the head that I just described in the beginning of the show here, that led to her being pregnant, apparently from just this this first encounter, of course. Apparently, she deceived the owlmen to escape being sacrificed, and traveled to the upper world and met the mother of the twins. And so let's see here. When these twin heroes, were wise from birth. So this is going a little back away from this last section here. There was initial mistreatment by the grandmother, and they were mocked by the uncles. But they were tasked with gathering maize, which is some kind of a corn, and they're magically aided by the gods. I scrolled too fast. Okay. So the uncle's envy led to an attempt to sacrifice the twins. They were changed into monkeys, and the twins cleared the field with magic tools, but animals restored it. They were They captured and interrogated a rat, revealing hidden ball game equipment. So this is again going back to that game. The twins became adept at that game and challenged Earth giants. They defeated one of these, I believe, by tricking him, and Hanapu's arm was torn and restored. Zapakna, the Earth Shaker, was defeated by trapping him under mountains. And Capricorn, the Sky Shaker, was poisoned and killed after consuming a bird. So these are all just, think of these as mythic versions of what was probably that game that I mentioned earlier. So now we are in the final challenge in the underworld. The Lords of Zababa challenged the twins to a ball game. So this is, again, the first part was just a summary, apparently, of this whole summary. Excuse me. And so they went on a journey similar to their ancestors, but they were more cautious. They avoided heated seats. Excuse me. Not sure what the significance is there. Successfully navigated trials with craft and aid from various creatures, and they survived the House of Bats. With Hanapu's head restored by Tortoise. So after that point, and this is going past that for summary here, they won the game and performed various miracles and deceived the lords into death, which is odd because if they were, I guess they could technically be alive and still rule that other world. They also, the twins revealed the true identities of these lords and avenged the fathers and nullified the lord's power. They were then commanded, these lords of Zabala were commanded to take menial tasks, ending their reign over that area. So, a lot of changing positions and a lot of magical abilities, shapeshifting, all these different things that you find in so many other myths around the world. So, let me check on the next section here, and we'll get right to it. So, now we are on Quetzalcoatl. I'm basing that on what I've heard before in other shows. Lived in Tolan and taught people various arts and crafts, including the craft of war. He taught smelting of silver, setting of precious stones, building with stones, statue making, painting signs in books, and keeping track of moons and suns. So, calendar kind of a thing. Sacrifices to Quetzalcoatl included bread, flowers, and perfumes instead of human hearts. So let's see here. Quetzalcoatl's house had 4 chambers. The east was a chamber of gold. The west chamber was set with emeralds, turquoises, and nephrite stones. And again, if you think about the history of gems and crystals and stones, they always come up in mythology, and of course they're used today by a lot of people for various reasons to do with energy and all those different kinds of energy, different kinds of healing abilities. Supposedly, I don't know the details on all that, but that may be something to do for another show at some point. The south chamber was set with colored seashells, and the north chamber was set with jasper. which I believe is a kind of plant. So the house was thatched with feathers of bright plumaged birds, and the land flourished under Quetzalcoatl's influence with abundant maize, large pumpkins, and multicolored cotton. Initially, people survived on roots and hunting before Quetzalcoatl brought maize from the mountain Tonacatepetl in the form of a black ant. Quetzalcoatl had many servants, including dwarves who were swift of foot, so basically were fast. Tezcatlipoca, a god who incites strife and war, descended on Tolan, killing the flowers in Quetzalcoatl's garden with a cold blast. Quetzalcoatl, I thought that was an I for a second there, but it's not, anticipated his displacement by this other god and decided to leave, burning his house and releasing his birds. Tezcatlipoca challenged Quetzalcoatl to a ball game, transformed into a jaguar, and chased him out of the city. Quetzalcoatl, accompanied by his dwarves, crossed mountains and, at one point, saw himself as an old man in a mirror. He rested at various points, leaving imprints and pits on stones. He instructed men from Tolan in new crafts, but did not give them his treasure, which he threw into the fountain Capan. Quetzalcoatl's journey continued over a fire mountain and a mountain of snow, where his servants perished from the cold. He reached the seashore, built a raft of snakes, that's amazing, and sailed to the land of Telepayan, drinking the water of immortality, promising to return young. Alternatively, it's said he cast himself into a fire, his ashes turning into birds, and his heart becoming the morning star, making him the Lord of the Dawn. So, let me see here. I think we have time for at least one more section here. And this is all really amazing. I've heard some bits and pieces of this before, but not nearly all of that. And a lot of symbology and transformation and all those things in there. So, let's see here. Quetzalcoatl's enemy. So, Tezcatlipoca's deception. He remained in Tolan, disguising himself as a pepper seller in the marketplace. This is this other god. The king's daughter fell in love with him, became sick, and was near death. Tezcatlipoca was summoned by the king to heal her, after which she recovered. Next section is called Feast and Trickery. He organized a feast inviting Tolan's youth, so basically it's people, leading them up the mountain, Tezcatlipoca. And he had them sing and dance, causing a panic, heading to many, unfortunately, falling off a broken bridge and turning into rocks and stones. He then invited the people to repair Quetzalcoatl's garden and then attacked them with a digging tool, killing many among the ruined flowers. So again, you have this really, it seems like the opposite of Quetzalcoatl. Tezcatlipoca showed a dancing mannequin in the marketplace, causing a crowd that resulted in trampling deaths. He created a distant voice urging people to stone the man and the mannequin, leaving their bodies covered in stones. The decomposing bodies, unfortunately, and here it does get a little bit graphic, emitted a deadly odor causing sickness. A voice instructed the people to remove the bodies to prevent further sickness, a disease. Despite the difficulty, the people eventually dragged the bodies outside the city by singing a song. So here you have this possibility here of manipulation of reality through sound, different frequencies. Upon returning, the people were disoriented and saw the nearby mountain on fire, a white bird with an arrow, and a rain of stones, leaving Tolan desolate and uninhabitable. So the next section here, I think this might be where let's see here. That might be where we stop. This is the next section here. It goes into the gods of Azteca and into a lot of that mythology there. Beyond that, it talks about the people of the area. And looking at the rest of this document here, there's from there it goes to the people of the Zuni, or the Zuni people. And I think that's almost the end of the book here, which is really amazing we've gotten so far. Yeah, that's actually the last section of the book. So another episode or two, like I thought maybe, and we'll have this this book done, which is amazing. So I think that's going to do it for that, but I hope everyone has enjoyed this mythology series, and it's been very interesting to me in different ways. Some of the mythology does seem to talk about, I mean, there's so many references to it, but even just spirits and the afterlife or underworld, all these different things that come up throughout time and even today. So, yeah, that's the plan for that series. Again, I'm cutting back to one of these episodes and one episode of Haunted Places in the U.S. per week, starting with this week's recording of shows, or set of shows. And that is so I can get back to more of the true paranormal stories from the web, because those are the kinds of shows that overall I prefer to do. I think it's important to do these other ones, but I definitely have my favorites, and that's the true stories is one of them. And again, started my new schedule with recording only on Fridays, and then releasing throughout the week. So hopefully that works for everyone. I will still release some of the Twilight Zone review episodes whenever I am able to record them. Those recordings will probably happen on Saturday nights, but it's not going to be every week. It'll just be whenever I have I have watched enough and have the material to review, and I feel up to it with my eyes and everything. So that is the plan. Thank you all for listening, and I will talk to you all next time on Salsidoparanormal. Take care.